All right, welcome back to another exciting episode of Reconnecting the Dot Podcast, the space where we look out for pieces of life, inspiration, and motivation to help you become the best version of yourself. And if you're tuning in for the first time and you have been on this journey with us, I am your host again, Afola and Fulshe. And I'm also glad to have you here. And we are going to be unpacking a lot of incredible stories behind the pages, exploring a different aspect of the book where that shows for our good and also giving you the exact takeaways to confidently step into your journey of becoming. So let's hit the mic. Welcome back again, Shibobi, and thank you for honoring this interview to actually talk about your book. It's and also once again a huge congratulations to your new book. So just to start with, so the last time you were on this, we talked about something totally different. It was about embracing change. So it looks like the change has actually really come to pass now. And at the time, it was a wrap-up announcement which you made, like a book is coming up, which was a very huge announcement, right? And now this book was a vision at the time. Now it's a reality, which you have held in your heart. So what was the exact moment you held the physical copy in your hand, and what did you feel like?
Okay. Hello, everyone listening, and thanks so much, for bringing me to Reconnecting the Dots once again. It's always a pleasure chatting with you, and hopefully we're able to have like a really, really rich and engaging conversation today.
Yeah.
So back to your question of when I first held a physical copy of my book. So for me, I would say I felt a sense of pride. I felt a sense of gratitude, very importantly. I also felt a sense of purpose. And those three things, I would say, because writing a book is not a walk in the park. And for someone like me who tries to put in her best in everything she sets her heart to do, it was just a moment where I felt that sense of, oh, you did this. So that was a sense of pride. The sense of gratitude was the fact that the time that I completed writing the book was a season where I was like in a little bit of a quiet season. And it was that in that moment that I was able to like write the book, complete it, and I was able to connect to the right people that could help me through that journey as well in birthing the book. And I felt that sense of gratitude, the gratitude of God placing that in my heart,
Right.
and the gratitude of Him giving me the knowledge, the capacity to put pen to paper and to do this, and the gratitude of people, of the social currency that He has blessed me with in birthing that book. And the sense of purpose, I would say, I'm someone who is very big on impact. I'm someone who is very big on mentorship. I'm someone who is very big on, just, creating opportunities for those that are coming behind, as well as serving, those that are ahead and learning from them as well. So for me, it was something that I felt really was key to my life's purpose in writing that book and sharing a little bit of, my experience, both personal and professional, and turning that into this self-help book that anyone can pick, anyone who's on a journey of becoming, anyone who's ready to embrace change can pick up, read, and learn one or two things from my journey. So yeah, those are the three core feelings.
That's really interesting because especially, and I think it take away from that is one, impact. Two is having to dedication to actually really following through on your purpose, your goal to making it a vision that making it into a reality, a vision that came into reality. Now is a read for people around the world, whether you like it or not. People are, even artificial intelligence tools can actually attest to your book. AI is even also saying, wow, this is actually a very huge and a very wonderful book, and which needs to be read. Now, so this, the title is actually very beautiful. MERGED chapters, right? A journey of becoming. So tell me, in your own life, what were the two chapters that felt completely separate? or messy at the time, but eventually merged to make you who you are today?
That's a deep question. And I don't know if messy is the word to use this in this regard. I would say that. So initially, when I was writing this book, the topic, the title that I had in mind was work in progress for whatever reason.
Progress, okay.
Yeah. I just feel like we're constantly work in progress. Like each day we learn, each day we're evolving. Especially for someone who has like really strong sense of purpose. Each day you're learning something, each day you're unlearning, each day you're reshaping,
Absolutely.
So so for me, the different chapters in my life, right? I've been, I have my professional life, I have my personal life. But one thing I realized through my journey is that before I saw it as separate chapters, like, okay, this is this is that, this is happening in this season. And I kind of dwell in the feelings that I feel during that season. And it feels like this is just what it is right now. But over time, and, from conversations with some really good mentors that I have, I realized that even though I have these different seasons in my life, both personal and professional, they are not standalone. And they kind of like, there's a ripple effect of how I embrace whatever it is that is happening, or how I challenge it, or how I try to mitigate it. Whatever actions I take in that season, in that chapter, will definitely have an impact on the next chapter, right? So having said that, what I'm just trying to say is that I do not see any chapter of my life, I do not see any experiences that I've had, whether good, whether bad, whether ugly, I see them as experiences that have shaped who I am and who I am becoming. I don't know if that answers your question.
Absolutely. And of course, we continue to become something. We continue to become, whatever it is we have challenged ourselves to become. And you know why I said that? Because God has perfected His favor upon each and every one of us. He has given us the brain to think. He has given us everything to actually do a lot of things we want to do in our lives. And I always call my life a circle of influence. Because whether you like it or not, it comes with a lot of different phases, just like you mentioned earlier, professional, personal, and so many different things. Now, the ability to actually connect the dots from all of these different phases, then it gives you that clear path. Either you know what, I want to impact the lives of people around the world. I want to continue to become this. And that is why I always say that is the aspect that tells you how best you are becoming every now and then, because we have to continue to become the best version of ourselves every now and then. So, what was the first spark that led you to write the book? You want to write it down, you want to note it down. So, what was that spark? Something will spark your mind. I'll be like, what? I need to follow through on this. Towards the end of our internship at the time, I decided, you know what? I need to write a story. I need to write a book about this old journey with these fellas, because they were so nice. It is truly a journey of becoming.
That spark. I would say that I'd always wanted to write a book. Like, even as a child, I would say that I was one of those creative ones as a child. Like, even when I was in elementary school, I was one of those that I would write poems. I used to draw comics then. I would write stories, put it into a comic. And then I had this friend whose dad had like photocopying business as well. Right. So we'd go to our house, I'll photocopy, make some photocopy copies of it. I'll make some copies of it, and then share it amongst my friends. Yeah. So that was me in elementary school. And then I moved to secondary school. And at some point, I started writing the book. It was a fiction storybook. And for some reason, I lost the manuscript, and I kind of just forgot about it and just moved on. And, with schoolwork and everything, each time I think about that time, I ask myself that what would have happened if I actually finished the book back then and I published it? I'd have been like a really young author. Maybe by now, I'll be a well-known, renowned author, writing fiction stories here and there, And I think about it from time to time. I'm like, even when I misplaced the manuscript, I could have started all over again, But at that time, that little 12-year-old girl, 13-year-old girl did not have like maybe a mentor that she was speaking with or someone that was sharing all those things with that could say, girl, you can start all over again. You can do it all over again. And that's why I'm very big on mentorship, So I remember all those things. So I'm saying that to just give you some backstory into like the fact that this is something I've always been passionate about. And then later in life as well, I started a blog. It's called educate.blogspot.com. But back then, during the blogspot era, so I would put my thoughts together. Interestingly, it's still up there. It's still there. I would put my thoughts together, share it amongst my friends. People will comment. After a while, I just pushed that aside and just moved on with my career and everything. So, having said that, I'm a very creative person. I'm someone who likes to express herself through words. I write a lot. Some of the things in my book are things that I've written years ago. Interestingly, there's a poem that starts my book. That poem was written in, I think, maybe 2012.
Wow.
It's not 13. I can't remember the year. The Journey Within. But what I just did was, when I was writing this book, I then looked at it again. I just tweaked a few things in the poem, but I felt like the poem kind of really speaks to this book. The different emotions, the different chapters that we go through in our lives, the times that we're high on energy, the times that we're confused, the times that we're sad, the times that we're confident with our goals and everything. So I had different pieces of things that I'd written in the past as well.
Yes, as well.
And that's the good thing about technology now. I write, I type. Now, most times I type now, I don't write.
Right.
And then it's all saved up there in my drive, So when I got to the point where I said, you know what, I should write that book now. I started writing the book, and then I went to pull out some of the things I'd written over the years when I'm in my feelings, when I'm feeling the certain kind of way, and then took some of those things as well. And those formed the base for some of the chapters that I have in the book, right? The spark was when I was approaching 40.
Okay.
Because that was a significant milestone in my life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was last year.
Absolutely.
So as I was approaching that time, that was in 2024, I said, you know what, let me just do this book now. I had a bit more time on my hands. I was in a program which I completed. So I was in a space where I was like, okay, what next? So I sat down and was very busy doing this, and things just kept moving. I think the challenge is just to start. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to launch it on my 40th birthday. And then it wasn't perfect at that time. And then I kept working on it, refining it, going through editing and all of that until I launched it in June last year. Yes.
Summer, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Thank you for that. I lost the manuscrict too. So
you did?
I did. So I did
When was
lost
that?
the manuscript, honestly. So, and I just forgot about, writing it. I enjoy writing too. Well, I enjoy writing as well. And a lot of time I just journal my thoughts on my phone. Thank God we live in the era of AI and so many different, technology evolution and all. So, and that's actually truly, I think for me, I've been able to kind of understood like why it is called the MERGED chapters, right? So now the journey of becoming, we all are on a journey in life, whether we like it or not. And that journey ends someday, right? You and I don't know where the journey ends. Only our Creator knows when the journey ends. Now, the journey of becoming, what does becoming mean to you, right? Personally. And how did your personal and professional experience merge to shape the message of this book?
Thanks.
Right.
Meaning it's becoming, it's in progress, it's continuous.
Yes.
And what that just tells you is we're always on a journey of becoming. It's a journey. It's a marathon. It's not just a sprint that you start and you finish. So for me, a journey of becoming is very important because it's never a destination. That's the first thing I want you to know. It's a continuous process, and we are all evolving. Like I mentioned earlier, that we're constantly learning, we're constantly unlearning, we're constantly growing, we're constantly stretching ourselves and discovering new dimensions of ourselves. The Shibomi today, even though, there's some things that are constant, has grown beyond the Shibomi of 5 years ago, of 10 years ago. And the Shibomi of today, in 5 years to come, in 10 years to come, I'm still becoming, because there would always be goals that will be set. There would always be missions that you have to achieve and things like that. And so what I want everyone to understand, and readers of the book to understand, is that they do not have to wait till their lives are perfect before they can embrace their story. Many people believe that their difficult chapters should be hidden or forgotten, but often those chapters contain lessons. The lessons, and the resilience, the character that has prepared you for the now or the future that you're hoping for. So, and that is what MERGED chapters really is doing. It's inviting readers to look at their lives differently as they go through the different feelings, the different phases, going through things like imposter syndrome when opportunities come, for example, and knowing how to deal with that. Things around how do you self-position yourself? How do you choose your battles in certain seasons of your life? How do you embrace serendipity? And I'm going to dwell a bit more on that maybe later, so that I don't dilute the question that you're asking.
Right.
So basically, my journey from like vision to reality, even for the book and everything, is never a straight line. It was never a straight line graph. I've had to be vulnerable, I've had to reflect, and I've had to build courage to be able to put all of this together. And there are times when I've questioned my experiences, there are times that I've questioned my life, questioned myself, and my experiences, were they significant enough to share in the book? And if you've read the book, you know that it's not necessarily talking about my life. It's not a biography. It's not a story about me per se.
Yeah.
But there's certain examples that I put there. But everything in the book are things that I've experienced as a person. And I'm saying, okay, you want to embrace change. Okay, you're in a journey of becoming. Pick this book up and you see things through my eyes and see how you can navigate through all those different feelings and chapters that you go through. And that's just it, basically.
And that's interesting. And, it was good you actually said that, because it brings me to my next follow-up question, right? But before I go into that follow-up question, it is so interesting that, we're able to not just live our experiences, but we're able to also document our experiences, which is what you have done, right? And they say that a man can lose everything, right? But one thing you don't want to lose is impacting the world or impacting people around you with what gift God has given to you. So imagine someone with so many knowledge, so many things, knows everything, and then just went to grave with that knowledge, carries everything to the grave. So it is so interesting and very wonderful what you have done. Now, the follow-up question is now for listeners out there, for your audiences, for our audiences out there, right? Who probably feels that their life is currently, in a kind of like a turmoil or a messy situation or a messy middle chapter of their life where things don't quite make sense yet, right? What insight from your book can actually give them the strength to keep writing their story?
So I think one of the core insights in MERGED chapters is that we don't live life in finished chapters. They're overlapping, right? So what I would tell people, and when you said, for them to write the chapters out there, I would say that, maybe not necessarily, not everybody's going to write a book. Not everybody's going to put, pen to paper. But writing that you've said, I would equate that to, tell their stories, inspire someone else, be a better version of themselves, be a person of impact. So I would say that you don't need to have a perfect story to keep going. You only need to give yourself that permission to do that. And so because life currently is just throwing lemons at you. Things don't seem, you're setting goals, you're not achieving them. It does not equate to the fact that you do not know what you're doing, or you do not have a bigger purpose.
Right.
Let me put it that way. It's only a season where you have to maybe step back a little, re-strategize.
Yeah.
There are seasons and there are times to tell yourself the hard truth. It might be a time when you sit back and kind of evaluate things. Oh, is it my relationship? Am I in the right relationship? Or if it is even a career, I've been trying to do this, I've been unable to do this. Do you need to change? Do you need to switch? Or do you need to upgrade? Do you need to go take a course? Do you need to, have someone mentor you in that particular field or in the thing? So most times it's not about just a season. I know things are not going on well, and then you're there wallowing in self-pity and all of that. The times you have to tell yourself the hard truth, it's okay, I think I need to put in more effort. Oh, okay, I think I need to step back a little. Oh, I think I need to lean on someone else's understanding and knowledge by getting a mentor or, studying more. So when life feels that way, there's several ways that it can be that you can address it using those different angles. But it starts with you actually doing some self-reflection in doing that. And what is serendipity? Serendipity is just, something just happening suddenly. Something happens and you're like, wow. People call it luck sometimes.
Yeah.
People call it like, oh, she's lucky. Oh, it's this, it's that. But I would say that it's a concept of Chronos and Kairos coming together, kind of. Right? So even though it's chance, you were not necessarily looking for it, but it just appeared, like it just happened. Like she just got the opportunity. She just made that money. But it happens because you were in motion. That is my own opinion on that, because when you talk about Chronos and Kairos, it's a concept of time that, that offers you a powerful lens of understanding life's journey. So Chronos is chronological time, measuring the passing of days, the passing of months and years. But Kairos speaks to the significant purpose-filled moments, linking down to serendipity that shapes our lives and define our direction. So even though Chronos defines like the length of our journey, blah, 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 Kairos kind of talks about the relevance. It reveals the meaning within what are the things that are happening within your chronological life order. So what that does basically to remind you that becoming is not just the time that passes, but about recognizing and embracing, those transformative moments, serendipity, back to that give our experiences purpose and connects those different chapters together. So there might be seasons where things are like looking like slow and all of that. But when you keep moving through that chronological life order or whatever it is in that those opportunities come. It is in that you begin to find purpose as well. It doesn't just come by chance. Okay, so if a moment just comes and you were not ready for it, an opportunity came, you are not ready for it, what then are you going to do with it in that moment? So in as much as opportunities come, I would say that in whatever it is that you're doing, and this is one quote that I live by, whatever your hand finds to do, do with all your might. If you are serving, serve with all your might. And because for me, like in the process of serving is where most times I find that serendipitous moment.
I find it very fascinating you talking about that serendipity, especially you also dedicating a chapter to that, which is really very interesting. I'm going to say two things. One, the first one is about purpose, right? You know that every human being has been decreed by a creator with purpose, and not just with purpose, but we have also been given the specific different abilities to accomplish every phase that leads us to, the outcome of that purpose. Now, the question to us as human beings, which ties to the becoming you mentioned, it is identifying your purpose. Right? The former president of the United States once said something. That's the President Barack Obama. He said, the body of work is yet to come. No matter how much you have achieved, no matter how much you have succeeded, no matter how much you've done, there's still a lot more to get done. And which also still ties back to becoming. I like that. Now, you describe your book as more than a read, a companion. And what do your readers feel or discover as they move through this chapter?
I think as readers flip through the chapters, I think for a lot of high achieving people, they will see themselves in those chapters because most of them would have gone through all those different chapters in their lives. They would have gone through imposter syndrome at some point.
Absolutely.
They would have faced times when there's a chapter on seasons. They would have gone through a time in their life where they've been in their winter season, their summer season. So people would have gone through all those. The times that when they would have had to choose their battles. There are different things they have to deal with, and they're like, okay, let me just choose my battle. Let me not do this one. Let me not do that one. There are times when people would have gone through a point where they feel like this is serendipity. This just happened,
Yeah.
And I've gone through that as well in my career, in my life. They would have gone through periods when they've had to position themselves for opportunities, and they'd have gone through times when they didn't position themselves well, and this book can guide them on how to navigate through that. They would have gone through times when they kind of just dimmed their fire and they didn't put themselves out well enough. They kind of just decided to be quiet and just do the job. But then I'm saying you need to ignite that fire within, right? So so talking through how can you actually really, because you need to know yourself to be able to embrace change, right? You need to know yourself to embrace change. So how well do you know yourself? You might think you know yourself so well, but you need to go through all those different to understand who you are, and that way you are able to really fully embrace your purpose. So for anyone that picks the book, I feel like a lot of people would kind of see themselves through the different chapters of the book, and they're going to feel a sense of inspiration and hope that I can be better, I can do better, and I can achieve more.
Absolutely. Just to add to that, the feeling. Again, I wrote a quote many years ago, and it says, "Life is experience. Experience is life. We're all going to go through life." Because you know why? You know why experience is life? Because life is greater than us. So it is our default duty. If we decide not to experience life, life would draw you and make you experience it, because that's just a default thing. And we must experience life. Right. We must go through chapters. We must go through phases. We must go through different things that happen to us in life, because all of those things shape us directly or indirectly, but I will like that. And which brings me to this. What advice do you have for someone who feels they have a lot of story to tell? Because I always say to people that, look, you know what? Nobody will write your story. You have to write your story yourself. Don't let anything sway you from causing you a barrier. No, you have to tell your story. You don't necessarily have to be a writer, but say your story. You need to talk about it so people learn from it, because life experiences shape us. So what advice do you have for someone who feels they have a story inside them but is unsure where to start from?
Thanks for that question. It's all about perception, right? And when you talk about branding, for example, and people talking about self-position and all of that, it's all about the perception that you're creating. So what I normally ask people is that the perception that you're creating, is that really who you are, first and foremost? Because there are people that tell a lot of stories, and when you get to have conversations with them, you realize that it's all just stories. So the first thing is be honest with yourself. First and foremost, know thyself.
Very important.
understand. And when I talk about understanding yourself, it's not just you as a person.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It also includes things like understanding your environment, understanding the values that shape you, understanding the trauma that you are dealing with as a person.
That's right. That's right.
Because all of those things shapes who we are. Not just you as a person, not just your DNA, but the environment you grew in, the values that were embedded ingrained in your being right from an early age, the traumas that you had to face, the experiences, all those things shape who you are. So you need to be honest with yourself and actually really understand all those things. Some will be strengths, some will be weaknesses that you have to work on. So when you understand yourself, then you can know that, okay, these are my core strengths that I can push forward. And, once, when I keep pushing these ones, it positions me in this light. These ones that are weaknesses, okay, I can work on it. Okay, if I need to do this, okay, I can work on it. Or do I need therapy? Or do I need a coach? Do I need a mentor? Do I need to go to school? Do I need to, go for a training or things like that? You need to know yourself, because I tell people, when you're telling your story in whatever form that you're telling it, it has to be genuine.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because you don't put out there something and then people interact with you and they're wondering, this person, like on LinkedIn, this is what I think this person is. So, and then now I've interacted with them and it's just all story, So the advice I'll give people is, first and foremost, there has to be some genuinity in your story, in the story that you're telling. Be it the good, be it the bad, whatever it is, and do not be afraid to tell your story. But not everyone will be very vocal on socials. Not everybody will be but in wherever you find yourself, for example, in an organization where you work, you need to tell your story. If you want to be opened up for opportunities, if you want to be memorable, such that when there are conversations in rooms where you're not present,
they look for you,
right?
And call you.
They can remember your name. You can be mentioned because you are memorable. And that's what telling your story is really all about, right?
Right.
So I would advise people that even if you're someone that would not necessarily put things out there on socials and everything, first and foremost, document your work. Documentation is very important. Document. Then when you document it, also find ways to also show the workings. You're not just documenting, but you're also showing it to, to the people that matter. And that way, you're telling your story somehow within that environment where you are, and in a way that you can be remembered, especially, in rooms where you're not and you need to be recommended for stuff. And that's where sponsorship comes in.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely. Where sponsorship comes, thank you for that. And I will also just have to say that no story is bad. No story is not good. Tell your story however you want to tell it. It doesn't matter what language you want to use in telling your story. You don't have to be on social media, but tell your story. Tell your story however you want to tell it. But because I believe that the main thing is for your story to be told, for it to actually be a trajectory for others to learn from. Even all of these technology tools which we make use of, I'm very sure at some point when you use your Google Maps driving, you get like a pop-up, right, that says, is the police officer still there?
Yes.
So it's just a sense of trying to help other people. Because when other people learn that, okay, there's a police officer right there, they just kind of like just adjust themselves, right? So it's the same thing. Just before we wrap up, where is your book available? Where can your book be purchased? Where can listeners grab a copy of MERGED Chapters?
My book, MERGED Chapters, The Journey of Becoming, can be gotten globally from Amazon. Just type my name, title of the book, and you can buy it anywhere in the world. But also in Nigeria, I have my books stocked at Roving Heights across the country. So in Lagos, Abuja, Ibadan, I think Port Harcourt. Yeah. And then they deliver nationwide as well. So you can walk into any Roving Heights store and you can grab a copy of my book, or you can order on their website as well.
Listeners, you've heard, the book can actually be getting access. You can buy them on Amazon, which is globally available to all. So you can get it on Robin Heights, and they also deliver nationwide within Nigeria. And again, Olashibomi, thank you again for coming back to this show. I would love to bring you for many more things to talk about. We have to continue to become the best version of ourselves. It's a journey of becoming. For those of us who are vocal, for those of us who can actually talk, who can write stories, who can actually speak about it, we have to continue to talk. We should never get tired of doing it. And thank you again, Shibomi, for coming. I really do appreciate your time and attention. And it was an honor bringing you back. and for those of our listeners, just keep connecting the dots. And you can actually listen to our podcast on Spotify and YouTube channel, time any day. And until next time, we'll talk to you again.
Thanks so much for having me. It's been such a